Okay, welcome back to the Denny and Nikki channel. I'm going to give you some tips on how to get a job teaching in Hawaii. The way you get hired in the public school system here is completely different than anything I've experienced. You don't look for job openings at districts. You actually have to apply to the applicant pool in the DOE, or the Teacher Recruitment Agency. And once you get all of your paperwork in, they'll send your name out to schools that need people. So just apply online for the DOE applicant pool, and they'll let you know who wants to interview you. For the public school system, when you're going through the application process, you have to do an in-person interview with the DOE. The only way you can get around this is if you have completed a student-teacher preparation program. So essentially, you have to have had an education degree. If this is you, you can get this step waived. You don't necessarily have to teach what you're certified in. So whenever you're doing your application, just pick which subjects you are willing to teach, and that may even help you get a teaching job faster. If you're liking these tips, make sure you hit that like button. When you're on the application, you're going to get the opportunity to select 6 islands. Now you're most likely going to get job opportunities from islands other than Oahu. Be careful on which island you select, because you can only turn down so many interviews, and you need to make sure that the islands that you are choosing are good for your family, your spouse, and whatever else you may need. You'll read on the internet that Hawaii really needs teachers. But they only need certain types of teachers. They don't need a lot of social studies, PE, those types of teachers. What they do need, though, is math, science, secondary English, ESOL, and special education teachers. The public school system is hiring all throughout the year, but their main hiring time is during June and July. The reason for this is because teachers have until the end of May to tell their school whether or not they're coming back. So schools might not know that they have openings until the summer. There's a hierarchy for who gets the interviews first. The first people to get interviews will be people who have the Hawaii teacher license. The second group of people will be people who have completed a student-teacher preparation program. So if you have an education degree. The third group of people is if you're completing a student education program now. And then the final group of people is if you just have bachelor degrees. If you turn down 5 job offers or 5 interviews, they will freeze your account. All right, so again, be careful on which areas you select for interviews, and make sure that that you're not being extremely picky. Quick note on that topic: I did turn down over 5 interviews, and they didn't freeze my account. But just to be safe, you should know that that's the policy. Charter schools, private schools are completely different than the public school system. You should be emailing principals and trying to get interviews. That worked for me a couple times. They're going to post their openings on school sites, job boards, USA Jobs, Google, all over the place, so be on the lookout. And let's go over some pay. Now I'm not going to go into salary numbers because it changes so often, but I do want you to know before you start applying to these jobs that if you don't have an education degree with a student preparation program, you're going to get paid significantly less, maybe even $8,000 to $10,000 less. And then also I want to go over some of the bonuses that is possible right now during 2020. If you decide to move here from the mainland, Hawaii is right now offering a $2,000 relocation bonus. If you're willing to teach in a hard-to-staff area, you can get anywhere from $3,000 to $8,000 extra a year. If you are nationally certified, which means you've been teaching for more than 3 years, and you went through that program, you can get anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 extra per year. If you're enjoying this content and you want to see more of it, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Turn that little bell icon on so that you can get all future videos. So this is going to be for public schools only, but the interview system is, quite frankly, it was kind of weird when I went through it. It's very structured. It's not personal. They're just asking you question after question. You're answering it, and then sometimes they don't even give you a response. They just ask you the next question. So don't be thrown off by this. I think that they do the interviews through a scoring system. Now this is going to be for charter and private schools because they are really different compared to the public school system. When you do an interview with them, they're most likely going to ask you to teach a mock lesson. The job that I'm working at now, I had to do a mock Zoom lesson with 3 students. So just be prepared for that. So this was different for me, but every interview, I was being interviewed by anywhere from 2 to 8 people. So at first I was trying to figure out who the principal was, vice principal, and trying to get to know who they were, read about them, just to get into the interview. And I was being interviewed by a bunch of different people that I had no idea who they were. So just expect that and expect them to take turns asking questions. Make sure that you're able to answer questions about ELL students. All right, there are a lot of ELL students, that's English language learners. Be prepared to answer how you're going to handle those students in your class. In the state that I came from, Florida, you call special education students ESE, Exceptional Student Education. Here, they don't use that term, they use SPED. So I had some interviews where we were talking about special education students, and they had no idea what I was talking about because I wasn't using the same terminology. So if you're in an interview, use the term SPED when talking about exceptional education. There are some things that you need to get through to the administrators during your interview that you're not going to be directly asked. You need to let them know that you understand the Common Core standards because that's what Hawaii uses. Number 2, you need to be able to let them know how you are connected to Hawaii. They have a big problem here of teachers coming and then just leaving in a couple years. And then finally, you need to know a little bit about the Hawaiian culture. That's very important. So get you some middle school history books and start reading. Make sure you call the school before the interview and ask them what the position is for. Because it may say English teacher, but then it's a journalism class. Or it may say social studies teacher, but it's 1 social studies class and then 5 PE classes. So you want to call and make sure that that's exactly the job that you want to interview for, or at least know how to prepare. Now we're going back to charter schools, private schools. A lot of them are Hawaiian focused. So in order to get a job with those schools, you're going to need to be able to know a little bit of the Hawaiian history, language, and kind of the political history here of the island. A quick note on this tip, I know there is some public schools who do Hawaiian immersion classes, but I'm just not familiar with them. Once you accept a job offer with a school, you'll be taken out of the system. so you won't get any more job opportunities from public schools. It's okay to ask a school to wait on your decision. It normally takes a school anywhere from 5 to 8 days to get back to you with their decision on whether they're going to hire you or not. Stay positive. You might read some negative things online about teaching in Hawaii, but I've only had a positive experience with my time. Alright, that's my 20 tips. Go ahead and watch these travel vlogs to know what you're going to be able to experience. If you would like to see more Hawaii videos or teaching in Hawaii videos, make sure to tell me down in the comments section. And if you are a teacher here, let me know your tips for how to have a good interview in Hawaii. Mahalo!